Hi everybody, this is Ken from Pike Adventures. It's one of my first tying step-by-steps I've done on recording, so just kind of bear with me. Basically what I'm going to show you is a fly that I rely on quite a bit. It's not hard to tie, it takes a few materials, but it's just a knockout fly for pike, especially early season. I have one tied up here in red and white. Real good pike catching fly. Okay, so basically what I want to do, mount a hook in the vise. I like to use the Mustad 4/0 tarpon hooks. It's a shorter shank hook, but it's a heavy hook. Helps get the fly down, I think, where the pike are, and it's just a good all-around solid hook. I usually like to tie on the TMCO 600 SPs, but I've switched over to these guys. Just giving them a go, and they're really, really sharp. So basically what we're going to do, we've got some red thread, and this is the Danville Flymaster Plus. So you're going to start out, tie on a thread base right behind your eye, and work your way back to the hook bend. Alright. Stop, clip off the access. Okay. Now work your way back up to the hook eye. Alright. And stop. Kind of leave yourself a little bit of a bare gap between your hook eye and your thread here. Now I'm going to mount a dumbbell eye. They're the little brass bead eyes there, and you're going to secure this by doing the figure 8 wrap right behind the hook eye. These guys are good. They tend to slip on the hook a little bit, so just kind of ease your way. You'll find that sometimes they tend to like to twist around on you a little bit. So if you just kind of go in gently, kind of position it where you want it. Okay, like so. Shoot figure 8s, and then tie back behind the hook or the eye. And then what I like to do is add some super glue or Zap-A-Gap. Okay. Just to kind of lock it and secure it into place on the bottom and on the top. Alright. Next step. This is basically up to you. I like to use the foul guards just because it helps from the bunny wrapping around the tail, I think. You can. This is just a personal preference. You don't have to put it on if you don't want to, but I do. I use the Berkeley 45-pound steel nylon coated wire. Just grab myself a small piece off the spool and just clip it. Kind of bend it in half, kind of at equal parts. Alright. And then since it's nylon coated, just so it doesn't create so much bulk up on the hook, I'll take it and hit it up with a lighter. Just be careful because this stuff likes to melt and drip off. Just hit it until it starts to melt, catch a flame, and then just basically burn it off. And just use the lighter to kind of smooth the coating down. Alright. Once that's gone, secure your foul guard on right behind your hook eye, like so. Then you got to be careful of too when you clip that wire. You don't clip the thread. know some people like to use stiff bucktail for a foul guard, some use mono, some don't use any. My friend Barry likes to, he'll stiffen the tail on some of his flies with the Gen X bunny. You can do that too, if you so choose. Okay. Now that's secured into place. Got a couple of good wraps on there, and then top that off with some super glue. I like to super glue each step just so I know. Pike have a lot of teeth, and you do a lot of casting. Sometimes you get snagged up. It's just good practice to secure all your steps. That way you know you've got a quality tied fly that's going to hold up to your fishing. So basically, that's what you got right there. Okay. Now I'm going to take some Crystal Flash, a little fluorescent orange. I'm going to take a small hank of that. Not too much, just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to take, kind of measure that out a little bit. You don't want to go, I don't like to go too long. You can go as long as you want, but I've found that with longer flash past the tail, for some reason to me it seems to inhibit the action of the rabbit strip. So I just basically like to go, I'll go along with it, but not longer than the rabbit tail. Okay, take that, clip off the excess, and you got your flash. Okay, a little super glue. And like I said, each step, when you get done, you know this fly is going to be rock solid. And it's going to be ready to do some battle with some toothy pike, muskie, pickerel, whatever, depending on what you're fishing for, the size you tie it in. Okay, I like to use here a piece of Magnum yellow rabbit strip. And the super glue also helps hold the hide and lock that into place, because once you get that stuck down, it's pretty much stuck there. So make sure you get it positioned right on top of the hook where you want it. Okay. A few solid turns. Lock that down. Now when you tie in this rabbit strip, don't go all the way to the dumbbell eye. You want to leave yourself, I like to leave myself a little gap, because I'm going to be palmering the other piece of rabbit strip forward, so I don't want it really bulky and bunched up behind the eye of the fly, just so I can give it a good, you know, neat looking whip finish. Alright, that's what you got tied in there. Okay. Now the next step is the topping of your fly with some flash. Basically you can use whatever you want. I like to use a color to contrast the yellow. I'm doing red and yellow here, which is another dynamite color for pike. So basically what I want to do is clip off small hank of red tinsel. Okay. I don't go too much, probably 5 or 6 strands maybe. I don't want to overpower the fly. I don't want it to be like too flashy in the water. But I do have some flies that I tie that are really flashy, all dependent upon the pike's mood. Okay, we got that flash locked in there. Now we'll wrap that forward. Okay. And I never throw like any of these scrap stuff away. I always save these in like a little bin. Dave Lindsay kind of showed me this little trick. You save all this stuff and you want to do smaller flies, you got scraps and bits and pieces that you need instead of tearing into a whole new thing of material. You've got your bags that have different stuff in them, label what they are, and then you can use, you know, you can use the small bits and pieces of that stuff. It's a good way to recycle that stuff instead of just throwing it in your tying waste bin. Okay. Lock that over. Super glue. A little bit. Okay. Done there. Another piece of rabbit. And this is going to build the bulk of the body of your fly. Okay. What you're going to do, lay that right on top again where you laid down the base of your super glue. And lock that down. Tie it again. Okay. And you'll notice you've got bulk here, but you got a section here. You've got a little gap. That's that gap I was telling you about when you go to whip finish your fly, and when you palmer your rabbit strip forward. Because this is such a thick piece of rabbit, it's going to require a little bit of room for you to tie it off behind your dumbbell eyes. So wrap yourself a nice tight thread body. The good thing about this thread is you can really kind of torque down on it. I mean, you can't really reef it too hard, but you can give it a good bind, a few loose wraps, and then you gradually just start forcing the thread down so you get a real nice solid body. Okay. Now, grab your flash, take your rabbit strip, and just palmer it like you would do hackle. Alright. Wrap it around, get one good solid wrap, and then just start palmering it forward. And every time you palmer it, kind of tighten down each time, and just kind of stroke the bunny material, the fur back. Okay. Once you do, a few, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll get an assembly line set up where you can just tie these things. Pike like these things, like dogs like chew toys. Okay. There's that behind that hook eye, or that dumbbell eye. Okay. Make sure you got that secured behind the eye, and then clip off that access bunny. And save the little bunny pieces too, because that's good dumbing for other stuff. Okay, and once you get that locked in, tighten it down, and make sure you're catching your piece of rabbit hide. Tie that off right behind the dumbbell eyes. Okay. Now, this is definitely one of my go-to patterns, especially I fish it on like a sink, intermediate sink. Especially the water's a little off color and you're in a shallow bay or something, and just creep this right along the bottom real slow when the water's cold. And that's how I like to fish them. And then once the water warms up, you can obviously fish them on a floating line, fish them over top of weeds, and you get like a jigging action, So that's tied off. Alright, you got a nice, neat thread head right behind your dumbbell eyes. Take your whip finishing tool. If you whip finish by hand, that's cool. I myself have always just used the whip finishing tool. And one thing too, I've learned that when you're going to do your whip finishing, because this stuff is like really staticky, just kind of wet your fingers a little bit, just to get the stuff out of the way when you whip finish it. So you're not catching any of the fur when you finish it off. Alright. Then just snap your head up with a little bit of super glue or fly head varnish, whatever you want to do. I like the super glue just because it locks everything right into place. There it is. Completed dumbbell eye bunny bug. This thing will definitely catch you a lot of fish. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.